Coming up, I eat a banana. I talk to a coolant tray.
It's balance, man, balance.
A fancy way of saying blown up engine.
The engine has failed to proceed. Welcome back to the following episode of the saga called Project Chicago. We are on the side of the road with a knocking engine. The tow truck is behind me, so we're gonna load it up. Drive it, well, he's gonna drive it back to the dojo. And then we're gonna troubleshoot and find a spun bearing, most likely. Because it sounds like a round knock. Yep, sounds good. Sounds wonderful. Tappy, tappy. Sounds good. Let's get it up in the air and see what's what. First thing we're going to do is remove the oil filter. If it's full of metal shavings, that means that 99.9% we have a spun bearing and the engine needs to come out again. Let's see under the light. Glitter Festival. Never spun a bearing before, so there's that. You can see glitter and metal everywhere. That engine is toast. So you can see shavings and metal stuff, so we have a most likely spun bearing. And I don't understand. How did that happen and why? Would you like to know a fun fact? I don't even know how many BMWs now, 30, 40, 50. Not one of them has left me stranded anywhere. This is the first one, the very first one. And he went with a boom. So I quite honestly cannot explain this. I have no idea what happened and why it spun a bearing. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Everything was brand new. I measured everything, everything was within spec. I reassembled everything so precisely and nicely that I don't think I made any mistakes doing reassembly. Before we proceed any further, I'm gonna remove all of the spark plugs, look inside the cylinders. We're gonna also perform a compression test, and if you have an issue there, then begs the question, is there even any point in doing anything else with this engine? So I'm gonna start removing everything and let's see what we find. Where's my trusty stick? If it's just a spun bearing and we find what caused it, we can fix this engine. It's gonna cost money. A lot more money and time, but we can fix it. If the cylinders are gone as well, then so is this engine. Ah, finger! Spark plug number one. Actually looks very good. Dry, firing nicely. Where's the camera? All right, nothing alarming so far. The piston is near the top, but I don't see any deep scoring marks or anything like that. Ouch! All right, spark plugs are consistent, clean and firing nicely. Scope time. 2 is a TDC, can't see anything. 3 is okay, don't see anything alarming there. Okay. That's already not looking good. Oh, yep. Ah. Magnificent. What that sound is, ladies and gentlemen, is piston slap. Cylinder number 4 is heavily scored. Heavily scored. And the piston has been slapping in there violently. This engine is done. It did cross my mind that it was piston slap for a second, but then it sounded like a rod knock. It didn't sound like a piston slap. Is it possible that it spun a bearing and then it returned it had so much play that it started slapping the piston. Okay, so let me call the guy who sleeved the block, see what he says. Because I don't think I've done anything to cause it to slap the piston. Anyway, in the meantime, I'm gonna remove all of the spark plugs on bank 2 and let's see what the cylinders on that side look like. And then I also need to check number 2. I think that one is a TDC, so I need to rotate the engine. So I just talked to the guy who sleeved the block. He says that looks like textbook lack of lubrication on that cylinder, but he says I need to remove the piston and he's gonna be able to tell me 100% what happened, and that we need to find the cause if it is lack of lubrication. I also told him about the leaking injector. He said chances of that doing any damage are really low because I didn't drive the car, replaced it immediately. It could be also that it spun a bearing on that journal and it created so much play that it took the cylinder down with it as well. But again, I need to remove the piston and then we'll be able to confirm. So I need to rotate the engine so I can check, what was it, cylinder 2 and cylinder 8. Okay, 2 is okay. Indeedio. Cylinder number 8, same story. Wowza! It's official. The engine is dead again. So here's where we're at. We can keep guessing as to what happened and why, but the matter of fact is the engine needs to come out, be completely disassembled and see what exactly happened. So now we're gonna start removing the engine and hopefully we can determine what went wrong. I talked to the guy who sleeved the block. He told me no matter what happens, send everything back and we'll do it again. It's not gonna cost you a thing, which is really nice. But I don't know if I wanna do that. You know, I don't wanna do all of this again. Wait another 2 months and then reassemble the block from scratch again. So first we're gonna pull it out, see what happened, see what's savable, what's repairable. And yesterday I found a used engine in Poland, Alpina H1 engine, supposedly low mileage. I don't know, I might go down that route. Because if the block is good, I can have this engine reassembled in a week. As opposed to waiting on another 2 months and everything else is stuck. I have 15 million projects that I need to get to and this one just doesn't want to end. I could see the finish line, almost, and then it disappeared with the sound of a knock. Anyway, let's go underneath, drain the oil, and take this puppy out. On the upside, I remember pretty good now how everything needs to be taken apart. Can't believe I'm doing this again. Would you like to know a fun fact? I actually off camera had to drop the oil pan, this one and the upper one, because it was leaking. I had the same issue with Project Raleigh. In part 2, off camera, I dropped the upper oil pan 4 times. Every time brand new gasket, everything clean, torque to spec, and it starts leaking immediately. So finally I removed everything and I used thin layer of Rhinestone seal, stopped leaking. So here I did that as well off camera, and as you can see it stopped leaking. And when I did that, when I dropped the pan and the filter, it didn't have shavings in it. So whatever happened during the test drive. It's 12 and 27 minutes. Let's see how long it takes me to take this engine out. Now we're going to take the whole front end off. think I'm gonna remove this as well. It'll help me with the removal of the intercooler. Going to disconnect the oil cooler now. I'm gonna leave the oil cooler on the side, flip it, let it drain all of the oil out, and then we'll need to flush it as well. I'm gonna drain the power steering fluid. Ah, the intercooler, we meet again. You should be easier now to remove you, since everything else is removed. Ah, forgot about the coolant hose. Okay, it looks like that's the ticket to remove this garbage. It's balance, man, balance. Let's go underneath now and get everything ready there. Right. I think this time around I'm gonna leave the power steering pump in and just disconnect everything else from it. And by the way, I did read the comments and I learned something new. If you open up this valve here, you can just lift this arm by hand instead of pumping like an idiot. So thank you for that. There we are. And the lump is out. What time is it? 5:20. Not too bad. So roughly 5 hours to take it out. Gonna unbolt those lines there. Quickly unbolt the power steering pump. Great. Perfect. There you go. I'm gonna unbolt the transmission. Where's the torque converter? All right, they are divorced. Slide. Yes, let me drag you in my cave. You're gonna spend some quality time there. I think we're gonna remove the intake now and the wiring harness. The valves look okay, nothing unusual there. Now you're gonna put it on the engine stand. Okay. Let me see if I can already get to those rods there. So let me shove my head in there and see if they're clacking. It doesn't look like those bearings spun. You can see that the skirt on the piston is heavily damaged. So the old pickup tube, it's squeaky clean. Nothing that doesn't belong in there. Here we go, moment of truth. Did the rod bearings on cylinder number 8 and 4 go dancing or not? Place your bets. If you hear click, 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 then we know that's what happened. No. It appears we do not have a spun bearing. These are the cylinders in question. And normally when the rod is knocking, you'll be able to move with the hand and make the noise. So I don't think that the bearings have spun. I think we only have damage of the cylinders, and that clacking noise was just piston slapping the crap out of the cylinders. All right, the next thing we're going to do, I'm gonna go home, start drinking heavily, and then tomorrow once I sober up, we're gonna flip the engine on the other side, remove the valve covers, see what it looks like on the inside, check the timing. If the timing is still correct, great. Then we're gonna start removing the heads and pull the pistons on the damaged cylinders and see the carnage. Good morning. I'm sober to the point where I can turn a wrench, so let's continue the charades. Leverage. Yep, there's oil. Bought myself a new gun. Loving it. Camshafts look okay. All of the levers are in place. Nothing out of the ordinary here, so let's check the timing. So I think the timing has to be correct, otherwise you would throw a check engine light immediately, as I did before we rebuilt the engine. Okay, intake side. Timing is correct. Exhaust. Correct as well. See here. Exhaust here is correct as well. Intake. Correct. So the engine is still in time, which is fantastic. The heads are usable. We don't have bent valves. Now we're gonna start stripping the rest of the engine and remove the heads. Man, this thing's good. Everything that I'm seeing so far points that the oil is very, very clean. I mean, there's a small mesh filter here on the Vanos solenoid. Stop dripping, and there's nothing on it. Now we're gonna loosen up Vanos bolts. Looks clean. Nothing that would clog it. Just finished my falafel sandwich. Let's get that head off. We're gonna loosen the bolts from 10 to 1. This is number 10. Right, there's our head. Nice. So how's our head gasket looking? Yeah, head gasket is looking good. So that's what the carnage looks like. The piston was really slapping all over the place in there. It's actually not horrible under your fingernail. I mean, it's not smooth, you can definitely feel it, but like not as bad as it was on Alloseal block. And these two, they're good. Nothing there. You can hear it maybe. It actually didn't hold compression here because it's full of oil from when we had the engine flipped. Anyway, let's remove the other head as well and then take the pistons out. All right. Here's how cylinder number 8 looks like. This one looks good. That one looks good. This one was not happy at all. Okay, now we need to put back the upper oil pan so we can remove the crank bolt. Remember how much torque we applied to torque this bolt? Well, fully charged Milwaukee. Ooh, my ears are ringing. There it is. Of course it's not gonna let me down. That thing is a beast. Woo, that bolt is warm. And so is the socket. Pipe is not clogged. Let's see, do we have any rod bearings that went dancing? Good, good. Okay, that's all good. It doesn't seem like we spun any of the bearings, but let's remove them and see what they look like. Okay, so let's remove caps on the cylinders in question. Crankshaft is okay. Thank baby Jesus. And now let's pull out the piston. Oh, that's mighty. So this is the carnage on the piston. The skirt got it. Received. But the rings are not broken. Still moving. Let's remove the other one. Oh yeah, the bearing. the bearing, a little bit of wear. Probably from all that slapping in there. Nope, bearing is fine. It didn't spin. The rings are not broken, but this is where shavings came from the pistons. The bearing, something went through here, but that's, you can't even feel that, that's nothing. Hi.
Who's the Dominic? Who is the Dominic?
Who's what?
Dominic.
I don't know, that's the guy in the first garage over there.
Call him, please.
I don't have his number, I don't even know him. I don't speak
I have
German.
the number.
Call him. What do you...
My
Car?
wife is dead now.
I'm
Call
so-
the police, call the Dominic, call everywhere you want.
I'm very sorry, but I have nothing to do with it.
Call the Dominic. Sicilian. You know what is Sicilian?
Italian, yes,
Yeah.
I know.
I'm Sicilian.
You're interrupting me while I'm
Invite-
filming. I kindly ask you to leave.
Okay, I'll wait outside.
I don't want to get involved.
Call the police now.
I don't care about the police. I don't care about
What is
him.
your name?
I'm not going to tell you my name. You don't need to know my name. I don't even...
Wife.
That's not...
Is
Where were we? What were we doing? Yes, I wanted to check the crankshaft. The crankshaft is fine. All right, let's remove the rest of the pistons and then pull out the crankshaft. So all other pistons are okay. The skirts, the rings, no damage. Bearings, some light wear, but it didn't do any major damage there either. And the crank is thankfully okay. Main bearings look okay. Let's pull out the crankshaft. Hopefully that bearing doesn't come out. Well, there you have it. Pretty much back to where we were at the beginning of this project. Naked block, yet again. So far, no smoking gun. No idea what would cause the piston to slap like that. So at this point, I'm gonna pack everything, take it to a local machine shop, have the guy measure all of the clearances and tell me, well, if these two cylinders are within specification, if the tolerances are off, then that would explain the piston slap. But if everything is okay, then our issue came from somewhere else and we need to find what exactly caused this, because even if I fix this block, what's the point if it's going to happen again? We need to find the cause, period. And I would at least like to know that it wasn't my fault. You know, it'll be better for my confidence. I don't know. I'll get back to you once I have updates. So.
Six hundredths.
600s?
4.
But that's where the scratches are.
Yeah. And up 3. And here 7. 7. Okay. And so is under 0.
Under 0?
Under 0. Yeah, a little less only, but see, nearly a little less under 0. Yeah. Here, look, here is really under 0. So.
So definitely not enough clearance.
I don't think so.
And you're measuring...
And here, look, here is over. You see, this is 1. This means it's not cylindrical, it's conic. And a lot of conic.
Conic then.
So, and here,
So that's the one that survived.
that survived. And here we have 0.4.
0.4.
Yeah. Here we have 0.3. The same in the lower is going. Yeah. Okay. Oh,
What do you have there?
0.1.
0.1.
Oh, it's like an egg.
Rotten egg.
A 10-minute egg is this. And so,
What do you have there?
0.03 and 0.04, and here we have 0.2. Oh, every cylinder have another clearance. This is a Kinderüberraschung.
In there?
0.1, 0.2, 0.2, 0.2, 0.2, 0.2. Oh, 0.1.5, but it's okay.
So that one is
0.2.
okay.
Yeah, this one is the best.
Turned around?
Yeah, if you like, but it's
Yeah, I do.
0.2. 0.2. Oh, it's okay.
1.
This is also mechanical. I don't understand why they are not round. Nearly 4. Oh, 0.4. 0.3.
0.3.
0.3. 0.1.
0.1.
Yeah. This is 1. And on the same here, I have 4.
4.
Yeah. And it is so bigger than so. And this one is less than 0.
Less than 0.
Yeah.
0.
A little lower than.
Under 0.
Yeah. This means under 200.
So you didn't have any clearance.
Yeah, there's no clearance. Yeah.
So that's why those cylinders went first. Oh, this is 8. That's 4 over there.
Yeah, this is the reason why they are gone.
Because they get the hottest.
Yeah. They are the hottest and nearly 0 clearance. Yeah.
Well, in hindsight, at least I know it's not my fault.
It's not your fault, no. But it's your problem.
It is.
You know.
It is. So why did they? What happened exactly?
The problem is the clearance between the cylinder and the piston.
Mm-hmm.
There is lower than 0.02 millimeters.
Mm-hmm.
And this is much too less for a cylinder that is sleeved
For cast iron.
for cast. Yes, it is from aluminium. This would be okay.
Because aluminum expands.
Expands at the same size like the piston, nearly. And so you can put a very small clearance between the piston and the cylinder block. But in this case, you have your iron, and iron expands not so much like
So the piston expanded,
expanded,
had
and
nowhere to go, and
yeah, not so much like the block. And so
you just scraped the
yeah.
crap out of it.
yeah, and so is the engine gone.
And you're getting different tolerances. all
Yeah,
over the place.
every cylinder have another tolerance, is bigger, lower, and what I don't understand really why is they are like an egg. So one is small, and so it's big, and it's a difference about 0.03 millimeters, and this is a lot for a cylinder.
So for the cast iron sleeves and the aluminium pistons that we have, clearance that you would recommend is 0.005
Yes.
minimum.
Minimum, yeah. This is my opinion. Yeah. The engines that I made are a little more than I make 0.06. This is so. But
that's
5 is the minimum in my opinion.
All right. Well, now we know what happened.
This is my opinion. What is going here wrong?
So not enough clearance, wrong
Not enough
tolerances.
clearance, wrong tolerances, and no precise for such an engine.
All right. So this is officially kaput.
Officially kaput.
Yeah. This is now decoration. Make a table out of this.
Yeah.
This as well, right?
Yeah.
This
The
should
sleeves are going down. They are
going
moved.
inside the block.
Yeah, they are moved.
There's a lip everywhere. There as well, which is not good. So this is not good for the head gasket.
Yeah, the pressure, it loses pressure from the gasket. And it's a lot. You have here 4 handles and here you have 1. If this getting hot, everything, bomb.
Okay, at least I know what happened, so now I have a problem to resolve. That's what I have to say about this. Scheiße, man. So to sum up, the engine has failed to proceed because of incorrect piston to valve clearance. What happened exactly? I was driving the car, the engine was getting more heat, and we have aluminum pistons that expand with heat and cast iron sleeves that don't expand as much. And the last 2 cylinders that failed at the back of the engine, they see the most heat because they get the least amount of cooling. The piston expanded to the point where it didn't have any clearance. And well, it made clearance by beating the living crap out of the cylinder walls, and that's the horrible racketing sound that we heard in the previous episode. I called the guy yesterday that sleeved the block, told him what happened, and he's shocked, bummed out, and taking full responsibility for it. He didn't even try to argue with me without any hesitation. He said, send everything back to me and I'll make it right again, including the pistons, which is nice. But then again, I said in the rebuild video how difficult it is to find a correct person to do this job, because it's very difficult to do this. It's extremely fine, precise measurements, and the guy came highly recommended. I mean, he's done an E39 M5 engine for my friend, and that car is still running after 50,000 kilometers. And that block is even more difficult because the cylinder walls are more thinner. And he's been doing this for the last 10 years, so he's not an amateur. He knows what he's doing. And when I asked him what's the clearance that he's left, he said it was 0.025 to 0.030 across all 8 cylinders. Clearly, that's not what we found. The measurements are all over the place. And evidently, the engine failed because not enough clearance. Now, even before I decided to sleeve the block, I knew about similar metals and thermal expansion. And I specifically discussed this topic with him even before I sent the block. And he told me that he has experience, he knows what he's doing, and that he's gonna leave enough clearance. Unfortunately, here we are after 100 kilometers with a blown up engine. So what next? Well, here's the plan that I came up with. I'm gonna send the block back to him. He's gonna make this right, measure everything, and probably use bigger clearances. He told me that he's been using those clearances for years and never had any issues with any of those engines. But the shop from yesterday told me that they use minimum 0.05 millimeters. So I'll need to do some more research there. He's also going to, well, he needs to find 2 pistons that failed, and he thinks he can find them used. I don't think so. You're not gonna find that used because they're Alpina specific. And I'm not even sure if I want to use any of the old pistons. The alternative is to buy new ones, and you have to buy a whole set, 3,000 euro. The crankshaft is okay, but it has 2 small scratches. It needs to be polished again. The rod bearings, unfortunately, have some wear from the metal shavings and stuff, so it wouldn't be smart to reuse them. I would have to buy that new. And of course, all of the one-time use parts like stretch bolts, I have to buy all of that brand new. Head bolts, head gaskets, just everything that's a one-time use needs to be new. So ton of money, ton of time, and all of that absolutely sucks. On top of that, last time it took like 2 months to get the block back, and then another month to assemble it and whatnot. It's just a huge amount of time that I don't have. I currently have a car, a dead car sitting in my lap, and 15 million other projects that I can't even get to. So I've decided, well, I found a used engine in Poland that's supposedly a lot of kilometers, but I'll tell you more about it once it comes. I'm gonna buy that engine, and I'm gonna do a compression test, leak down test, and visual inspection that the cylinders are not scored. If anything is not okay, that engine is going back. If it is okay, then I'm gonna use that block, and all of the new parts that I have, just bolt to it. Newly refurbished heads, new timing chain and guides, just clean everything thoroughly, bolt it back, shove it back in the car, and I'm gonna have it back on the road in like 5 or 6 days. I am getting pretty good at this, so I can assemble it much faster than previously. And then we're gonna test it thoroughly. We're gonna go on the Autobahn and give it everything it has. Just drive as fast as it can, and if it blows up, at least it blows up spectacularly. So that's the game plan. I'll keep you posted how everything goes. And hopefully we're gonna have the Alpina back on the road. And of course, once he's done this job correctly, I'm gonna remeasure again once it comes back. And then I have a backup engine for whenever that one inevitably blows up. And I know you're gonna tell me, well, why didn't you measure the clearances and tolerances before you reassemble the engine? And to be honest, I don't have the tools. The tools alone cost over thousands of euros. And even if I did, I don't know how to use them. I don't have the expertise to measure this. I mean, I'm not a machinist. And this is why I hired someone else to do the job. This specific job was leaving the block and measure everything and give me a block that's ready to be reassembled. You get what I'm saying? But rest assured that the next time if I were to do this job again, this engine or whatever else engine, I'm gonna triple measure everything. And to be honest with you, I couldn't sleep at all last few days. I was going over everything in my head, thinking that I've done something wrong and caused this catastrophic damage. And although this situation sucks completely, it does make me feel a bit better knowing it's not my fault and that I didn't mess up anything during the reassembly. So there is that. Anyway, as always, thank you very much for watching and for following along. This is a major setback, but we'll get over it. The Alpina is going to be back on the road one way or another. There's another project coming soon, a car that I bought for my girlfriend. And that's gonna be an interesting one. But at this point, because of Alpina, I don't even have time to do a simple oil change on the E46 and change the winter tires to summer tires. But anyway, I'm gonna slow down a little bit and do all of that. And as soon as the new/used engine comes in, hopefully we're gonna get to the reassembly stage and have this car back on the road rather soon. Thank you to all of my Patreons for your support. Without your support, I'm not even sure if I would be able to do this again. If you wanna grab merchandise or whatever, t-shirts, mugs, posters that's behind the camera over there, you can find the link in the description. Also, while at it, might as well subscribe if you haven't, because lately we've been having a lot of views and people just don't click on the subscribe button. It's rather easy. I mean, if you like the content, you do it, you click it, and it's nice for everyone. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm gonna go home and rest a little bit, and then we're gonna fight another day. Adios, amigos.